The Enoch Burke case was back in the High Court again today for mention. None of the Burkes were there, but there was some interesting stuff from the judge and some interesting stuff from Rosemary Mallon BL, who is representing the school, the Wilson's Hospital School. She's a barrister. So we heard that the Enoch Burke dismissal appeal, in other words, his appeal against his dismissal from his job, and just to be absolutely clear, he was dismissed from Wilson's Hospital School in 2023. So his employment was terminated, but he has appealed that termination and he's perfectly entitled to do so. However, he's already delayed the appeal going ahead by going to the Court of Appeal over the members of the appeal board, and now there's been a new appeal panel set up and he's objected to that as well, or at least one member of that. So the appeal hearing was to go ahead on the 8th of November, which was last week, but that has been cancelled now because Enoch Burke has gone and he's made some application in relation to the new member that replaced Kieran Christie, the ASTI General Secretary, or former General Secretary, who Enoch Burke had an issue with and who Enoch Burke objected about. So we're told that the Enoch Burke dismissal appeal has been postponed due to latest legal challenge. Orders seeking jailing for contempt of family members, including his brother, Dr. Isaac Burke, his mother, Martina Burke, his sister, Amy Burke, and himself, for interrupting court proceedings repeatedly, will be considered by the judge. So a newly constituted appeals committee, and this reporting is from the Irish Times, due last Saturday to hear Enoch Burke's appeal of his dismissal by Wilson's Hospital School, had to be postponed after the teacher, Mr. Burke, sought a review of a Court of Appeal decision, the High Court was told. The court also heard that formal orders seeking the jailing for contempt of his mother, Martina, brother Isaac, sister Amy, as well as Enoch Burke himself, over their conduct in court in recent weeks when they repeatedly interrupted proceedings, are to be considered, Mr. Justice Cregan said on Wednesday. Mr. Burke had already been facing an application by the school to have him sent back to prison, where he has already spent more than 500 days at different intervals over the last 3 years for his continuing contempt by turning up at the school every day in breach of High Court orders. He claims his actions are the result of a school directive that he use a new name for transgender pupil and use the they-them pronoun. He says this is a breach of his constitutional rights, including his right to freedom of religion or freedom of conscience. He's facing further separate applications for contempt over his behaviour in court and for again returning to the school, where a security guard is now employed daily to prevent him from gaining access to the school premises. Rosemary Mallon BL for the school board said a disciplinary appeals panel set up to hear Mr. Burke's appeal against dismissal had been scheduled to take place on November the 8th. That panel was set up to replace another panel which Mr. Burke had successfully challenged in the Court of Appeal over alleged bias of one of its members, that was Kieran Christie, the ASTI representative, who Mr. Burke claimed was a supporter of transgender rights. This latest objection by Mr. Burke is in relation to the new panel member, Geraldine O'Brien, on grounds of objective bias, but which is rejected by the disciplinary panel. The new panel hearing had to be postponed when Mr. Burke said he had submitted an intended review application of a Court of Appeal decision related to his case. Ms. Mallon BL said the review appears to be sought in relation to another case over the membership of the panel which Mr. Burke had lost, but which he is now conflating with the most recent Court of Appeal decision which he won. All this means that Mr. Burke continues to be paid his teacher's salary, council said, and his teacher's salary, remember, is being paid by the Department of Education, that is, you and me, the taxpayer. Miss Mallon BL said none of the Burke family had been in court on Wednesday, but the principal had written to say Mr. Burke arrived that morning and it was unknown if he had gained access to the premises or was standing outside. However, she said he had not followed last week's court direction to provide a statement of his means in order to assess whether to adjust the €1,400 daily fine that the court has imposed on him for attending the school and now amounts to more than €225,000. Council also said there will be orders sought sequestering a Hyundai and a Nissan car which were used to drive Burke family members onto the school grounds, an order for payment of a €15,000 fine for trespass imposed by the High Court when it definitively found his actions were unlawful, and an order preventing further filming by the Burkes on the school and to remove material already posted on social media. So these are orders being sought by council for the school, for the board of management of the school. Ms. Mallon said that the school has had to engage a new security company due to online abuse of previous security men. It has meant the cost of security has risen from some €700 to about €1,100 a day and could rise further. Since the beginning of this month, Mr. Burke had tried to enter the school but was successfully stopped on most occasions. On one day he drove in a Toyota car for which the registration was not obtained, council said. Miss Mallon said it appeared throughout the 3 years of this case that Mr. Burke does not believe the rule of law applies to him. The school has now been driven to an extraordinary situation of having to employ a security guard with a body cam. There is nothing that will convince him to stop, and now a further jailing for contempt of court is sought, she said. So the school is looking to have him jailed again because they are at the end of their tether in relation to trying to keep Mr. Burke out. The judge said he would give a judgment on Mr. Burke's continuing contempt next week, I think it's Tuesday, and deal later then with the court conduct contempt by all 4 family members. So the judge is going to deal with contempt proceedings as well against 4 family members: Dr. Isaac Burke, Martina Burke, that's Enoch Burke's mother, Amy Burke, his sister, and Enoch Burke himself. And that is a separate issue, a separate proceedings to do with contempt of court and the way that they carried on the last day that they were in court, according to the judge. That's it. That's the latest from the Enoch Burke situation. As I say, next Tuesday we're expecting the decision by the judge in relation to, I presume, the various applications made by Rosemary Mallon BL for the school board of management, and one of those applications includes jail because the school has had continuing difficulties with security personnel and preventing Mr. Burke from getting in, and social media videos and so on and so forth. Hope you find the video useful. If you do, I'd appreciate if you hit the thumbs up button down below. Thank you very much.